Hey, this is episode 1 of Citizen Sleeper, some sort of indie RPG, I think. That's about all I know, so let's just get into it. And no options is kinda rough. An operator works with drones and high precision remote machines to perform complex tasks from a distance. Sleepers assigned to operator work are usually cerebral and precise people. Perk, transfer interception. Chance to gain cryo on interface actions. Skills. +1 interfacing, -1 endure. Extractor. Extractors works on resource extraction, often in hard vacuum environments. Sleepers assigned to extractor work are often confident, self-sufficient, and have a high level of endurance. Photosynthetic skin. Sunbathe, dice action. Allows energy recovery at home. +1 endure, -1 intuition. Intuit. I guess that's intuition. I don't know why they even shorted that, but sure. Machinist. A machinist repairs and modifies automated systems used in industrial resource extraction. Sleepers assigned to machinist work are usually diligent, careful, and structured people. Chance to gain random scrap item on engineer actions. Work with machines and physical tools. Okay, we're gonna go with extractor. And we're gonna fix the sounds as soon as we get some fucking options for it. The first thing you become aware of on waking is the disconnect, the delay between thinking and feeling, between wanting to act and acting. Minor, almost imperceptible, but always present. It's worst when waking, when yourself has spent many dark hours recalling what it felt like to be real, to be a person, to be in a body that was undisputably yours. Music level 2, 1. That's kind of annoying that you can't fix the other sounds. Oh well, it is what it is. Think of that body. A leap into a cold lake on a hot day, the sting of blood welling from a fresh wound, the friction of a fingertip. All of a sudden, the memories are closer than you thought, blurring as you approach until you can't tell one from the other. The cold slips in, behind and around you, and the sensation fade out of reach. Perhaps you should be thankful for the dulled nature of this new body. Given your current circumstances, the walls of the container feels immediately present, cold, hard at your back and face, cramping your limbs. You resist the desire to stretch, knowing that the claustrophobia comes next, and retreat a little from your central nervous system. It isn't painful, not like you used to know pain at least. You resist the desires to stretch, no. In emergency mode, pain is a message delivered with efficiency and ease, a reminder that harm is imminent. There is no insistent throbbing, no trembling nerves, just a warning delivered with the banal quality of a digital notification. Right now, there are thousands of them. Remember the plan. You mostly remembered that it wasn't a good plan, but then your options were limited, and once you got the itch to get out, by any means possible, it was either that plan or something much worse. It was at least simple. Collapse the shaft, drift away in the chaos, slip into cargo processing, seal yourself into containers, then just hope the freighter left before you were missed. Some were lost in the shaft, others never found the meeting point. Only a few made it to the container, but the freighter, as far as you know, left. That feels like enough. Enough to know that you might no longer be on that grim and heartless rock. Even if, in the airless hold of a freighter, you might freeze solid long before you reach any destination. Try to rest. But you're restless. It has been a long time since you left. Surely weeks, maybe months. You are dully aware of damage to your legs, your right arm. You have been reserving energy as much as possible, but even then, your body has shut many of its systems down to protect you. You have spent much of that time asleep, knowing that anything else would be impossible to endure. You feel the weight of that impossibility begin to gather. It is time to sleep again, to nudge this false body into inducing delta waves in your emulated mind, and once again recoil into a dream of when you were once a person. Time passes, the cold creeps further in. You feel something. Warmth, not true warmth, but the indication of its presence. Your joints release from their rigor. Sound too, everywhere, screeching and shimmering, so loud that your body ducks your hearing to protect its sensors. Then light, white as the cold, then softer and softer, until in a haze of dirty yellow a figure appears. You are out. Okay, I'm out. Cryptocurrency, oh, okay, I see. Stored in air-walled sticks of memory, known as chits. Dragos, a pragmatic and private salvager. It's been a few hours since Dragos pulled you from the container. You sit huddled in a corner of the scrapyard, swaddled in the reflective folds of a mylar blanket. You are slowly coming back to consciousness, back to life, and you stare at the ornately carving element of an improvised heater. You are surrounded by angular, incoherent lumps of ships, some corroded beyond recognition, others still carrying glassy wounds along their edges where a plasma arc sliced them apart. As you trace their shapes with foggy eyes, you hear a voice. So, Sleeper, you all thawed yet? Almost. Never seen one of you come in like this. New frames must have been better perseverance in sub-zero back. Seen more than a few of you frozen solid to hull plates or inside other locks in my time. They weren't so lucky. Dragos comes into focus, shrouded in makeshift tech, his headset with its glinting eyes, the mark of a drone operator. On his shoulder, one of his symbiotically linked drones perches, its irising eye locking you with an unflinching stare. Yeah, I had to fix the volume. The last living sleeper that came through this yard was a while ago. They didn't last long. You struggle to read this expression beneath the tech, but he seems lost in memory for a moment, or perhaps he's just figuring out what to do with you. I plan to survive. You aren't sure if he hears you. I won't ask what led you to do it, to sell yourself to a corporation, and I suppose you know you can't go back. Your old body, that's theirs now, and you are just software, a rogue emulation, illegally possessing corporate property. You nod along. You remember biometrically signing the form. The cold floor on your feet as you padded to the sleeper cells. The promise of a life off-world. But as you do, you get the new familiar sensation that these aren't your memories. These are things you know, but not things you feel. You're no longer that person. You're an offshoot, a copy. What you won't know is what's ahead. At least the last one didn't. There's no easy way to put it. That body of yours is falling apart. It's the same for any sleeper who makes it out. SN ARP wants to protect the property, but if they can't keep hold of you, well, then no one can. You remember that too, or at least rumors of it from other sleepers. Planned obsolescence. A built-in dependency on regularly administered supplements that were part of your routine. Stop taking them and your body begins to shut down, separate from your emulated mind. How long has it been? How long do you have? But for now, sleeper, you are one of the lucky ones. Dragos glances up and away, towards the glassy dome of the yard. The Eye is the best place you could be right now. The Eye? The station, you'll see soon enough. Dragos impatiently shifts his weight. Look, I've got things to be getting on with. He trails off. There's an old freight container I've been using as storage out in the stacks. We haven't been pulling in much valuable scrap these days, so you're welcome to it. Something wells up inside you. Emotion, fatigue. You shakily get to your feet. Alright, you head on up there. You look like you need some rest. And with that, Dragos stalks back into the wrecks, his drones already converging on a rusting hull, plasma flashes silhouetting his spindly figure as he returns to work. Welcome to Erlin's Eye. Life on the Eye runs in cycles, during which you can talk to characters, explore areas of the station, and perform actions. At the end of each cycle, you need to head to your current home to rest. Resting will move time forward on the station. Head to the empty container location to rest and end the circle now. Empty container, you're home for now. All cycles need to end. Rest and prepare for the next one. You wake, curled up in the corner of a container, and begin slowly assembling the world around you. After all this time, you still find his body, the one you wake in now, strange and disjointed. Its messages readable, but somehow wrong. You sit up, pulling the mylar blanket close against the cold. Here you are, on this ruined station, millions of miles from anyone you know. Are you still in the system? Did any of the others make it out? It's impossible to know. After all this, what matters? Building a life. Maybe you did get lucky, finding yourself here. Maybe here, on the edge of everything, there's a life for you to build. But before you can build anything, you'll need to learn to survive. Maybe, if you can do that, you can make a life for yourself. Dragos has left a few comforts in the container. The mylar blanket, the bedroll you slept on, a canister of water, a makeshift electric stove, and some faded sachets of some desiccated powder. You thumb the power stud of the stove and begin to boil the water. The contents of the sachet smells like damp wood, and you sprinkle them into the liquid. As the pungent smell washes over you, images of your restless sleep comes back to you. A ring, like the station, but skeletal and ghostly. A web of threads pulling at your skin. A constellation of bright polygonal shapes, like angular suns, burning into your mind. There's something unpleasantly visceral about these images, and it is long after you finished drinking that they begin to fade. You tidy away the stove as best you can and try to gather enough energy to greet the day. Tutorial. Condition, action, dice, and energy. Your condition represents the current state of your artificial body. It depletes by one segment each cycle, but can also be damaged by violence, injury, or lack of food. If your condition bar empties, you will suffer a breakdown. You'll have to figure out how to recover your condition now that you no longer have access to corporate pharmaceuticals that were keeping you alive. At the start of each cycle, you roll your action dice. These dice can be used to perform actions on the station. The number of dice rolled is based on your current condition. The worse your condition, the fewer dice you have. Once you have used your dice, you cannot take any further action and must rest to recover them, ending the current cycle. You also need to eat to survive. This is represented by your energy bar. You can refill your energy bar by eating, but first you'll have to find somewhere to get food and currency to buy it. Your energy depletes by 2 segments each cycle. If it becomes empty, you'll be starving and your condition will deplete at a double rate per cycle. Dragos is stood on a container. Dragos is stood in the corridor when you close up the container. He is still wearing his headset, and in the harsh light of the corridor you realize it is implanted. A drone sits on his shoulder, its cache of sensor eyes rapidly irising. How are you feeling? Not good. The drone chirps. Dragos notes. You notice that beneath the operator's rig, his skin is marked by burns and blotches. I know the container isn't much, but it'll keep you safe. He pauses. So I'm not going to chit-chat too long. You well enough to work? Sure. Alright then, he nods. At the yard, it's simple stuff. We hack these old hulls down, sell them off to the shipyard or the bright market dealers for cryo. Occasionally, we pull out some tech, something with a bit more value, but most of what comes in is scrap. It's hard to find good hands here, but I figure as a sleeper, you'll be used to the manual labor, and obviously, I'll slip you a few shits of commission based on what you turn up. Got it. He shuffles his feet nervously. Look, I wouldn't usually do this. In my opinion, you'll be best suited moving on as quick as you can, and sleepers, well, he trails off. But things being the way they are, for me at the yard, he pauses. I need your help. Happy to. Okay, he pauses, thinking of something else to add. Look, just come down to the yard when you're feeling fresher. There's plenty to do. Will do. He nods distractedly and turns and walks away, the drone hopping along ahead of him. See you later, he calls back. Looks like it's time to get to work. Drago's yard. Actions are a primary way you interact with the world of Citizen Sleeper. To perform an action, select it with cross and A, and then choose an action dice to assign. Repeatable action, hull dissection. Even the rustiest hull can hide valuable components and materials. Manual salvage. It's going to take some time to sort and cut your way through the towers of salvage, but you're no stranger to hard labor. Action rewards you with clock progress, energy, condition, or items depending on their outcome. There are 3 types of outcome. Positive, the action goes better than expected. Neutral, the action succeeds. Negative, the action fails. Action dice affect these outcomes as follows. Okay. Yeah, 6, 5, 4, 3, 1, 2. Okay. Action displays information about their type, risk level, and the skill and modifiers that apply to that action. Type, either critical or repeatable. Critical actions can only be performed once. Either safe, risky, or danger. No loss of condition, energy or cryo. Risky, negative outcome means cryo or energy loss. Danger, negative outcome means condition loss. Neutral outcome can mean cryo or energy loss. The skill that this action requires, either engineer, interface, endure into it, or engage. Modifier. Yeah, okay. Let's do this one then, since it's our stat. Input dice. Action. Action off in progress clocks. Clocks are displayed below the action that fills them, and they track your action and how they affect the world. Filling a clock means something good or bad is about to happen. Some clocks, such as this one, tracking Dragos' depth, are cycle clocks. These clocks tick themselves once each cycle and can complete without player input. Any action, cycle clocks will be displayed on the icon for that location. Dragos is tied up in something ugly, and if he misses a payment or two, things could get messy. Back of business, every Savager knows that they are always just one lucky haul away from their next payday. You're now free to explore Erlin's Eye and make a life for yourself here. Try tracking a drive to help you survive. Look for food to keep your energy up and way to recover condition. Fill clocks to progress stories and find new opportunities. Remember to end cycle at your home when you're out of dice. Assist the shipbuilder. The only way to get to know the shipyard is to work here, no trust here. C4. Hellion Crossing. Merchants willing to run the gauntlet of the Hellion system are rare, but those that do always return eventually. Explore the Rotunda. Dock Watcher. Getting to know the Rotunda doesn't that just mean new places to visit? It means keeping your eye on new arrivals too. Why wonder when there are hundreds of people that live and work within the Bright Market? All you need is courage to approach them. Local knowledge. The Bright Market is the busiest part of the Ice lower rim. You can find anything and everything here. -6 cryo. Local knowledge. Memphis is busy, his broad face uplit by the makeshift gas burner in front of him. With precise, delicate movements, he lays thick chunks of marinated fungus into a dented wok, his other hand idly tossing a metal bowl of sliced vegetables in some red-flecked dressing. The smell is incredible. You watch as he fulfills a set of orders, heaping the fungus with the bright salad and depositing it in a plastic trays. A stack of shit rattled in his apron pocket as customers file past the burner, handing over payment. Approach. You join the queue. It's mostly made of off-duty salvagers, vac suits unzipped and rolled down to expose stained vests. Grubby mods, a lattice of scars and tattoos. They discuss the best food on the Eye, the best drink, comparing notes on Bright Market dives. Their words cut through with heavy spacer slang. Eventually, it's your turn, and you shuffle to the front. Emphis speaks in a deep, even tone, without looking up. First try is free. Thank you. The spell is almost unbearably strong as he cooks. The earthiness of the fungus, laced with something so spicy, the smoke makes your eyes water. The heat from the burner is like a bonfire, and your skin hardens in its glare. I know you, sleeper. I know you, you sleepers. Emphis says while he cooks, his voice deep but clear. A hard life, a lot of stories. He glances up from beneath his cap with piercing eyes. I know. You begin to tell him about your journey to the eye, and he nods as he cooks, his eyes never leaving his work. You tell him of the confusion, the pain, but also the sense of possibility and its sudden arrival. You tell him of the cold and dark, and dark of the container, and the endless cycles spent within it. Now it seems you tell him like some dream that you once had, but can never forget. You tell him that the eye excites you and scares you, and you are unsure where to walk, where to look, what to do. Eventually, you tail off, running out of words. He places a plastic tray of steaming fungus in your hand. Next time, we can talk some more, he smiles, but next time you pay. He slams a heavy hand against a button on the burner's side and it shuts off. The roar of the flame at its impressive heat fades. Next time then, sleeper. He waves you away and begins to oil the wok. Before you turn back to the alley, you notice the geometric patterns of circular scars across his forearms, each surrounded with a constellation of glinting pin marks. You walk away, and as you do, you take a bite of the rich, spicy, delicately sweet fungus. Your taste sensors light up like a fusion reactor. You'll be back. Pay low and toll. After some spacers caused some trouble in the low end, Yatagan have imposed a toll for entry. No one gets in without paying. Next comes the call from the enforcer at the door. You shuffle down the flickering hallway towards the open apartment door. You keep your head down and your shoulders high in the queue, trying to not to bring attention to yourself. You were thankful for the tip-off that the doctor was operating out of this place, but now you are here, you aren't so sure. The gang enforcers on the door, the flickering light strips, the decaying hab block, they have all made the long cube a test of your nerve, but your options are few, and without a supply of stabilizers, this body, your body, will. You suppress a shiver and and shuffle forward to the front of the queue. You try to find something to distract yourself. Look inside. You lean against the doorframe and look into the apartment. The entry is dark, punctuated by the green indicators of stacks of sealed containers. You lean in and see amber light filtering through the far doorway, screened with plastic sheeting, beyond which blurred shapes move. The slap of the enforcer's palm against the doorway jerks you awake. Wait your turn, he growls. After a few moments, a figure pushes through the doorway, and you catch a distant voice. Send the next one in, Toshiro. The enforcer jerks his head, and you slip inside, passing through the dark entryway and pushing through the plastic sheeting on the far door. The room beyond is bathed in warm light. A floor-to-ceiling transparent panel gives a full view of the bright market's sealed roof and the buzzing traffic above, and for a moment you are transfixed by the motion. Come, sit, comes a sharp voice, and you see a silhouetted figure turned away, replacing the plastic sheeting over the frame of a simple folding bed. You make your way across the room. The figure turns, and as they do, you see an expression of confusion flash across their features. They open their mouths as if to speak. They blink, and then quickly regain their composure. Please sit. They gesture to your bed, and then turn to an open case of tools on the table. You sit. Sabine turns, a compact diagnostic scanner of some kind in their hand. They hold it to your eye. Remain still, please. Their tone is clipped and businesslike. You stare ahead. still dazed from their expression when you enter. Fear recognition, sadness, unmistakably etched across their face. How long have you been on this station? They ask, the scanner still to their eye. A few cycles. They nod. It's good you came to see me. They set the diagnostic scanner on the table. I'm going to start by assuming you don't know anything. They take your arm and roll up your sleeve, inspecting your synthetic skin. Your body is dying. They say it without ceremony, without drama, but not without empathy. SN ARP doesn't like to see its proprietary technology let loose to prevent bodies like yours, frames as they call them, from being stolen, repurposed, or even in your case, escaping. They built in a process of so-called planned obsolescence. Frames decay rapidly when not regularly injected with stabilizers, one which SN ARP remains the sole producer of. They look up. Sound familiar? Yes. Good, that may help. They swap to your other arm, running some thin metal device over your skin. You feel your forearm trembling. I'm sorry, Sabine says, and you're unsure if they mean for the cold touch of the metal or for anything else. Everything else. Emulations like you, sleepers, as most people know you, aren't classified as people in any of the surrogate systems. You have no rights, no status. They focus hard on the inspection of your arm, and SN ARP has no reason to release stabilizers into the market. Sabine looks up as if to apologize again, but they stop themselves. I know little of this is of use to you. They turn away, disassembling the metal instruments and cleaning it. Silence fills the room as Sabine works, and then the silence gives way to tension. You stare at their back, willing them to say something, anything. Sabine turns to face you. I may be able to help you, they sigh, and you see the darkness under their eyes, hear the fatigue in their voice. They gesture to the door. You saw Toshiro outside. You nod. He works for my benefactor, Yatagan. They are influential in the low end. They give me this space to work, run the door, and take the profits. At the same time, I have to fix up their enforcers, tend to their implants, sew up their wounds. They look away. But Yatagan has connections, smugglers from the Starward Belt, mercenaries working for the Corporation on Ember. If they can source the stabilizer, maybe you'll have a better chance. Sabine sets down their slate, their notes complete. This is dangerous, and it'll be expensive, but I think we can do it. Why help me? Sabine walks away to the window, their face dappled by the shadows of passing drones. Let's just see if this works first. I'll let you know when I have a lead. You nod and leave, Sabine still staring out, unmoving. When you reach the lower level of the market, you look back up through the panels of the roof to see if you can see their face. But the room looks dark against the lights of the market. You duck your head and walk off into the crowd. Perk, sunbathe. Your frame's photosynthetic skin allows you to gather energy through sunlight. The longer you stay, the better. Okay, so I can do that instead of eating or what? End cycle. This time you don't wake up. Instead, the ghost of the station, that shifting skeletal ring, surrounds you. For a moment, you are gone, absent from your own body, stretched out across the colorless void. Then the connections begin to establish themselves, threads tugging on the edge of your mind. These threads become vectors of exchange and then extensions, as you feel your thoughts slipping away down them, dissolving into the millions of distributed nodes they connect to. You see the station. No, you feel the station, like a web of texture in a smooth black liquid. Touch it. You find a point in the station and you connect to it. Pulse through it. Follow loops and paths under and around it. You touch more points than you have fingers, and then you try, in a moment of impulsiveness, to connect them. The flow passes through you so rapidly that you feel yourself being carried with it, splitting and separating, eddying and gathering. All you do, as you do, things occur to you, things that you can't possibly know. You reach out, try to grasp them, try to touch them. You notice a tugging feeling, pulling at you, intense, insistently, as if it were a small child. Somehow, it is pulling in two directions at once. You look down. All of a sudden, everything shuts off. You come back, trembling, into this unfamiliar body, both yours and not yours all at once. You find yourself standing in the container, eyes now open to the dark steel walls. You feel a change within you, a shift. You close your eyes for a second, and you feel it waiting there, the stations played out across your mind. A storm of connected nodes, waiting to be explored, and then it is gone. Okay, so it's just waiting until that is done. Okay. Let's go work then. Adapt call in, back in business. Again, the skeletal ring of the station fills your mind. It sparks with glittering lights, like stars reflected in a winter lake. It is clearer, crisper than before. The threads still pull, but you remain in place, flickering in the flow. Between the threads, you see bright shapes, caches of shimmering light beneath transparent crystal forms. You follow the path of a thread across the ring, through these forms, then leaping off into the void. You begin to understand. These are nodes and connections, a map of information, of communication. There are so many layers, so many loops, that it seems almost impossible to parse, but you begin to try. Focus on the nodes. The nodes are glassy, bright, but in all this flow, the only solid and fixed points. You approach one, a pyramid or a triangle. Dimensions are difficult here, and lean close to it. Inside, shifting layers conceal a tangle of threads, a meeting point of exchange. But before you can glimpse inside, the glass clouds are hardened, cutting you off. The threads and nodes, passages and puzzle boxes, one leads to another. There is so much here, so many answers, so many questions. All you need to do is follow the path and open the boxes. You look out across this ghost landscape of exchange and see an opportunity. But then, this insistent tugging again, pulling at you. You look down again and see two lines, two threads pulling in different directions, as if they were tied around you. The first thread leads out, away from the station, into the inky black. Someone out there is tracking you, hunting you, following the thread to you. They are in a ship, and the ship is approaching ever closer with each cycle. The second thread leads in, pulling deep into the station. Your gaze follows it, and this time you see something. A sphere shimmering above a strange angular body. A pulse shoots out from it, passing over you like a torch beam, testing you, tasting you. You open your eyes. Time is short. Someone out there is tracking you, following your trail. It won't be long before they arrive. The cloud. Something has changed inside you. You can now access data cloud of the eye, a network of decaying protocols and data caches. While there, you can use dice and items to access systems and extract data, but be careful, these networks are old and strange. Press Y to toggle this view on and off. His node pulses faintly. Data actions allow you to extract data from the networks of the eye. They work like dice actions, but in order to unlock them, you must match your dice to the one displayed on the right of the action. If you have a +1 or +2 modifier in the interface key, you will be given more possible dice to match. You can use any dice that match the dice displayed. Once unlocked, the data can be extracted. Match. Okay. 2. I have a 2. Extract data. Neutral outcome plus Haven Edge data. Gate conceals a network of systems which have been untouched since the Solheim collapse. Input 1 Solheim cipher. I need to repair my body so I get more actions. Whoa, 3 sixes. As you close up, a voice echoes down the corridor towards you. Sleeper, wait up. Turn. Feng is coming down the corridor towards you, a wonky grin on his broad face. Hey, glad I caught you. Do I know you? Hey, he grins. You do know. You do now. He puts a hand on your arm. I've seen you hanging around. Just want to chat. You're staying in that thing. He nods back to the container, shaking his head. Rough. It can be hard to get a start on the eye. He looks away down the passage. What was it? Old Erlin said. The eye opens for us all. Nice idea, but well, not always very practical. He glances back at you. We do our best, but it isn't easy. We? You pass together into the main walkway. Haven Edge. We are all one dysfunctional family. Feng puts an arm around you. I'm not part of the security branch, though. Don't worry, I'm with systems. Systems? Everything the eye runs on. He runs a hand along the passage wall. This place is a ruin, but systems keeps it spinning somehow. At least we try to. He stops you in the quiet passage. Look, that's not what I'm here to discuss. I saw you around, and well, I know a little about you, sleepers. I have a little proposition for you. He glances around, but well, this is not the place for it. I have an office just across the way. Give me a cycle or two to prepare, then, when you're settled, stop by. He lowers his voice and gives you a dark look. In truth, I need you. If what they say is true about you sleepers, well, there's work to be done. He pats you on the back, his voice bright and his dark look suddenly gone. Stay clean, sleeper. He walks off down the passage, raising a hand in farewell. Okay. So what did that do then? Nothing. Okay, I know them now. Okay, great success. Ah, okay, it opened up some extra things. Input one yet again data. Unit assembly, quality control. Shipbuilder spots on the sidereal horizon are hard to combat. Poor work will see you dropped from the roster. From the walkway, the sidereal horizon looks impossibly vast. A landscape of plating and frames. All along her flanks, torches flicker. Drones maneuver, arc-like glint. The sense of scale of industry is both stunning and strangely unsettling. She's quite beautiful, I think. You turn to see a figure a little way down the walkway, leaning at the railing. He is thin, ragged, his work gear poorly fitting and loose. The torches of the sidereal horizon flicker in his eyes as he turns to you. Then he leans back from the rail, revealing a child standing beside him, staring out at the ship. And this is Mina, he adds with a smile. Hi, Mina. She stares and tucks herself behind Lem, who dutifully picks her up. She's a little slow to trust you. Trust, aren't you, Mina? She buries her face in the folds of his overalls. Mina looks away out from Lem's chest, a dark brown eye twinkling among the rough materials. You working on her then? Lem asks eagerly, gesturing to the vast ship, or just admiring. He shifts Mina's weight to his other arm. Working. Me too, me too. He flashes a Heavenage pass. I knew it just to look at you. He stumbles a little over his words, not wanting to be misunderstood. You look like a worker. She's Mina and I's ticket out of this place. Our escape vector, so to speak. How? You haven't heard? Anyone who takes a Havenage contract on the sidereal horizon will be entered into a draw for the transit support crew. He smiles. We won't get to sleep the journey through, but a couple of decades of service will be nothing for me and Mina if it means landfall on a new world. He winks. Transit support. Someone needs to stay awake to keep the things running. He straightens up, stretching his back. That's a colony ship, friend. The Celis Foundation is sending thousands to settle a system well outside the reach of the core worlds. It'll be a totally independent colony. No surrogacy, no corporations. Sounds crazy. Could be, but you see another way out of here? This way we can build a home somewhere with real gravity, real air, rain. He plays with Mina's hair absent-mindedly. Rain, Mina, you love that, I think. Mina responds by pushing his hand away. Daddy. She whispers, food, pulling an exaggerated grumpy face. She glances furtively at you as she plays with a set of dog tags that hang from Lem's neck. I'm just chatting a little, Meanie. Give Daddy a sec. He turns back to you, and you suddenly notice how tired he looks. I'm not on the Heavenage crew yet, but I'll work my way in. You can do it too, friend. We have to stick together. He smiles a little shakily, and you wonder how long he's been working to break into the official shipyard crew. For sure. He looks out at the sidereal horizon, as if trying to pull energy from those flickering torches from the vast hull. We've got to hold out, okay? You aren't quite sure if he's talking to you. That's how it works. While he stares out, Mina catches your eye curiously. You agree, Mina? She straightens up and meets your eye. Daddy loves me, she says it stubbornly, daring you to question her. Lem smiles and lifts Mina. That's it. We hold on. He smiles sheepishly at you. We are just a couple of softies, isn't that right, Mina? He sets her down, standing by her side, and she clings to his leg. Gotta go feed this one. He pats her back. Maybe see you on a shift, huh? He turns, and they walk down the walkway, away from the shipyard. You see them talking, and then a moment later, Mina turns around and stops. See you, robot. Her shout echoes down the walkway, and she flashes you a parting smile before running to catch up with Lem. You watch them a little before you turn back to the impossible scale of the sidereal horizon. A ticket out. You arrive into a buzz of activity at the yard. Red blinking lights flash across the vast dark shape, suspended below the dome. They flicker across scorched hull plates and bent structures, spilling from holes in twisted shape. The cutter is huge and has been torn apart in some violent encounter. She's beautiful. She's a beauty, isn't she? Drago stands to the side, focused on hulking ship as it is lowered into the yard. She is. I should thank you. This place was on its last legs when you turned up. And now look at this. The ship descends slowly, its interior visible through multiple hull breaches. You struggle to gather the same enthusiasm as Dragos from this monstrous craft. You can't help but think of what became of its crew. What happened? What do you mean? He glances at you, managing to convince our salvager friends to give it to me on credit. That's what happened. No, what happened to the ship? Not my concern, he shrugs. The ship creaks like a calving iceberg as it reaches the base of the yard. Dragos is visibly excited. I know I said you shouldn't stick around, but I'm gonna need some help with this one. The drones start to crawl over the hull, their lights illuminating flashes of dented hull. Watching, you wonder if you arrived on a similar fashion, locked inside the container. The wreck of the Esson Arp freighter lowered into the yard like a corpse ready to be butchered. Or was the container delivered to Dragos on its own, a womb for your rebirth into this strange station? You shudder. Perhaps if you could learn something about this ship, you might be able to trace the path that led to you to this yard. Dragos squeezes your shoulder. After these past cycles, I think we're up to it. What do you think? You see the fading name of the ship emblazoned on its side, Winterlight. Let's do it. He claps you on the back. Glad to hear it. Come back in a few and we can make a start. A real beauty, Dragos repeats, perhaps just to himself. You take one last look at the shattered ship as the drones start cutting, and then slip out of the yard, feeling suddenly cold in the empty passage. Clear the depth and return the favor for your first friend on the eye. You completed your first drive. Each drive completed unlocks an upgrade point to spend on upgrading your character. Access your character menu with or B. Okay. Keep Keep 2 dice even when condition is breaking. The fuck? Well, that was a bit nice though. No, okay, so the first one gives you +1 plus a perk, and then the second upgrade gives you a perk, and the third one gives you +2 on the skill, okay? Okay, so intuition I can't even put points into, or... maybe I can put it there. Okay. I get it. Dice action display potential positives and negative outcomes. Reroll all your dice once per cycle. That's super good. All cryo actions are discounted by 20%. Chance to gain energy after any engage action. Chance to gain cryo on interface actions. Agent node gives you double data. Didn't I get? Okay, that also costs +1. Okay, I see. Drago's yard. Drago's nerve. Drago seems increasingly nervous about your presence in the yard. You're not sure he's going to hold his nerve much longer. Okay. Engineering danger. Shipbreaking is tougher than slicing up loose salvage, but Dragos is happy to pay you a fixed wage if you're up to it. Yard clearance. Oh, I've gotten something. Oh, scrap metal. What the fuck? The controls are a bit iffy. Or maybe I have to do the... Fungifan. Empress doesn't trust people easily, but he notices his regular customers in his own quiet way. Plus Fungus Fan. It takes several cycles to reach the starboard belt and return, loaded with scrap from the old rigs. Complete active scene. I wonder if I fucking did that. How much do I need to eat? What? I don't want to spend all my cash here. God damn it. Sleeper, Emphis calls out to you, a booming voice that echoes through the corridor. Tell me a story. He throws a handful of chopped mushrooms into his wok, the fire leaping up to meet the oil. I see you. Cycle in, cycle out, but we never speak. Tell me a story. What kind? Any kind. He pauses to drizzle something from a plastic bottle into the wok. But one of yours. He looks up at you. Nothing stolen. You pause. The spices rich in your nostrils. And think about the kind of story you'd like to tell Emphis. You look at Emphis, the listener, and imagine he has heard it all before. Perhaps he would enjoy a strange story, something with some spice. Tell him about your dreams. All the sleepers, you tell Emphis, had dreams. Some were simple, memories left over from the emulation process that had become tangled up in your mind and would come out when they sleep. It wasn't rare to hear a sleeper in the dorm scream or cry out in the night. But your dreams, those grey, skeletal after images of systems and structures, of threads and patterns, weren't like the others. They weren't memories or nightmares. They were reflections of reality, distorted, yes, but somehow true. You learned back then to keep quiet about them, to let them flow through your mind like water. That was until now, until you arrived in this place. Now your dreams colonize your waking life. They slip behind your eyelids with every blink, and now they understand they aren't dreams at all, but some process of interfacing, of speaking, of living in another world that flows through. This one, like smoke through air. You tell him that you do not know if there is a reason for your dreams. Perhaps you reason it is just some side effect or particular quality of the frame you inhabit. But whatever it is a gift, and you hope to make use of it. Emphis finishes cooking and squints a little at you. Sleeper, he smiles. You are quite a storyteller. He eyes you. You realize that he is trying to gauge how honest you have been in your story. Emphis passes you a meal he has cooked, and you take it gratefully. As you eat, he talks a natural exchange. Thank you, Sleeper. He looks around at the emptying market. But my time is done for today, and I do not want to keep you longer, so I will make a proposal. He gestures to the plastic boxes of ingredients stacked behind the stall. These are good enough for most, but someone told me a story that made me think a couple of cycles ago. They said that across the gap in the Greenway, fresh mushrooms grow. Have you heard this? No. Neither had I, but I trust the one who told me. Emphis begins packing up these things. Can you bring me some? I cannot cross the gap, and I worry about leaving my things behind, he smiles. I am sure a storyteller like you could handle the trip. I will prepare them for you, if you wish to tell it. Be the audience for another story. Agreed. Good, booms Emphis. Then I will wait for you to bring them. Emphis sides his walk away and straightens up. I will prepare a recipe then, Sleeper. Good luck with your foraging. You turn away and walk into the main market. The rich taste of Emphis's food still lingers in your mouth. Stories for food, you think. A trade that seemed more than fair. The fuck? The first thing you see on entering is the glint of Toshiro's implant, like a cat's eye in the dark of the corridor. He nods you in as you arrive at Sabine's door. The entryway is still dark, and you push through the sheeting into the surgery. I have it. Sabine stands with the case open in front of them, a set of vials lined up inside, separated by foam inserts. They pick one up, rotating it in the warm light. I have no idea how, Yatagan. They trail off. We should treat this with caution. It looks authentic, but I have no idea if it really is what it appears to be. I'm the test case? That seems to be the case. Unfortunately, I'm not sure we have another choice. They gesture for you to sit on the bed. The stabilizers work under a similar principle to the immunosuppressant in a transplant operation, in that it stops your body from rejecting the unfamiliar part of itself. In the case of your frame, the unfamiliar part is each of your biosynthetic organ groups, which over time are identified by your body as foreign materials and therefore must be eliminated. Sabine holds up a vial of the would-be stabilizer. However, unlike an immunosuppressant, the stabilizer doesn't do this by limiting your entire immune system. Instead, it re-encodes your biosynthetic organs with new protein chains, which act as passcodes within your immune system. The stabilizer refreshes those passcodes, keeping your frame from rejecting all of its own organs. Which means the stabilizer should be able to encode any organ or biosynthetic matter to be accepted by your immune system. They glance away, at least if the stabilizer is genuine. The only way to know for sure is to inject the vial. They begin readying the syringe. I will start with a small dose to limit the risk. Okay, let's do it. Sabine cracks the glass neck of the stabilizer vial and uses a syringe to extract a fraction of the liquid. They tap the syringe and you watch it as if any sign might emerge from the clear liquid. You barely feel the needle, your frame registering the initial injection but with little response. A sensation begins to spread from the site, a fizzing, trembling wave that disperses through your arm with incredible speed. Your vision goes wide, and when it returns, Sabine appears encased in shards of sparkling light that slowly fade into darkness as you settle back against the bed. You swim in darkness, muffled noises, like an argument heard from underwater, prickling waves of cold. When you sit back up, Sabine is sitting on a chair by a window, facing away from you, backlit by the glow of their slate. Awake, yes. The stabilizer is genuine. They sit down beside the bed. I don't know how Yatagan acquired a case of this stuff, but they did. Sabine looks troubled, distracted. You should rest some more, but you are going to have to do that somewhere else. They gesture to the door. I have other patients, sorry. Sabine nods towards the case. I'm afraid I can't offer you any more doses. You are going to need to pay for your next dose. Silence fills the room, and they return to the glowing slate. Looking around the room, it seems different somehow, as if things have moved or shifted. You wonder how long you have been out. Leave. You manage to get to your feet and wander out into the hallway. The queue stretches down the flickering corridor. Toshiro stands impatiently by the door and fixes you with a glare as you leave. You lower your eyes as you stumble past, somehow faintly aware of the station spinning beneath you. Sweet. Class 1 encrypted key. As you drift back from the node, something latches onto you. A thread, strung tight around you. It tethers you in place. A taste. The voice makes you shiver. Its source somehow both distant and close behind your ear. You see a distant glint of light shut off, and then suddenly a shape is at your side. It stalks around you, circling like a shark, like a wolf. Entity unknown, astringent, processing. Stay still. Please hold. The thread around you thickens until it is a ring, a cylinder, a tunnel of light circle around you. It is blinding you for a moment. And then it is gone. As it fades, you see a figure, a creature in front of you. Its strange head flickers between different angles, reading you. What did you do? The shape paces around you on light legs, though there is no ground here to pace on. Entity identified. Origin, serial, cadence. The figure faces you expectantly. Sleeper, SNR. Unknown, known. The figure's strange head rotates, brackish signature, off and not off, attempting interface. As the figure speaks, more threads begin to spiral from its head. Thick, snaking vine, like ribbons that flex and wave. They approach with intent. Stop! The figure halts its treads, its head twitching. Entity, your identity is unknown. We only seek to correct illegalities. Can you confer your legal right to sentience? I am a person. Incorrect, you are an entity. All at once, Hunter's head is directly in front of yours, blocking your vision. You stink of their taste, the one from the sealed dock. Hunter shimmers with fury. I will find access. I will interface. I don't understand. An entity hides in the rotunda. You are its puppet. Hunter extends a razor-edged thread. I will not be diverted from my task. It glows with murderous intent. Strike. You lash out with all your force. Not a physical strike, but a focusing. A spike of interface leaping out like the tip of a spear. Hunter stumbles, shifts, separates. Wake up. You open your eyes, blinking back into the station light, shaking with fear. Sleeper, Fang catches your attention as you approach the Heaven Edge building, leaning against the bay door to the side of the entrance. You approach. Easier to come in this way. Security, all that. He gives you a look. You know. He slams a button, and the bay creaks open. Blinking lights in the dark behind it. You follow Fang inside. Truth be told, I don't spend much time upstairs. This is where I work. The door hisses as it closes behind you. The bay is filled with pieces of hardware, all rigged up to generators and diagnostic slates and things you don't recognize that glow with blue streamlight. There is a chorus of hums that blend into a single wave of static, filling the dark corners of the room. Feng leans in, leans on a server stack, and gestures around. You like it? What is all this? He taps a nearby server stack, which bleeps in response. This is my treasure trove. All dredged up from the sea of systems we call the Eye. You wouldn't believe what this place runs on. One sec. He steps over to a towering block, speckled with vents. Some of these systems are from the original station, AE-1, the one Solheim built. We've had to invent new components, repair things we never built, reverse engineer entire subsystems into existence. Residents here look up at the eye and think they are seeing a concrete reality, but this place is a system in constant flux, decaying and growing, collapsing into new configurations. He walks down between the hardware stacks and you follow. We are keeping this place alive, but also remaking it into something new, dragging it away from those corporate origins. He stops. At least that's what I'm trying to do. He turns back to face you among the flickering machines. They hum all around you. I know you can see this too, Sleeper. All these systems and sections. You can, can't you? I can see it. It made sense, right? You are between here and there, between the people and their systems. You light this place up like a beacon. That's what I need. You glance at the light around you, and as you do, they seem to flicker. They realign, to follow your gaze. Feng notices it too. I'm guessing becoming a beacon isn't always ideal when you are a run-through. They are tracking me. He pats you on the shoulder. Maybe I can help with that. There's a lot of old growth in this place. Subsystems I can't see. Access protocols lost to time and decay. Secrets. A shitload of secrets. With your help, I can unlock this place. Break off those last ghost limbs of corporate control. He lowers his voice, below the hum. Even in Heavenage, there is old growth. Those whose roots trace back into those bad old days. You help me dredge up the past, and I'll see what I can do about that tracker of yours. He winks. What do you say? I'm in. Feng pumps his fist and claps you on the shoulder. He meets your eye. You won't regret it, Sleeper. Feng passes you a ragged-looking metal tab. A gift, he smiles. It's a Solheim cipher. I dug it up from the depths of the station. Slot that into an old network gate, and you'll be able to pull out all kinds of secrets from the nodes inside. He walks you back to the front of the bay. Start by bringing me whatever you can turn up. Use that emulated mind of yours and see what's there. Let's get a picture of what things are. Those above, he nods at the ceiling, have granted me acquisition budget. I can pay you for whatever useful data you bring in. I know you need it. He slams the door button again. Keep it quiet and keep it clean, Sleeper, and I'll see you soon. You step, blinking, back out into the passage, those flickering lights still in the back of your mind. All nice rolls. Positive outcome. Final pieces of the Winterlight sit in neat piles waiting for the collection shuttle from Heavenage. Dragus has managed to sell the remaining pieces to the shipyards. A fact that's hard to forget as he has been telling you about it for the past 2 cycles, and all that remains is for Heavenage to come collect. You look around at the yard, transformed from when you first arrived. The mostly repaired drones flit back and forth, no longer buzzing unevenly or lost in dark corners, and the scrap is sectioning, sorted, the systems that you and Dragos have been put into place over the past cycles paying off. As you look, you notice the glow of pale light from the office by the entrance, that rundown cab of a building which houses all the records and spare equipment. Dragos must be inside. And you get to your feet and walk over to find out when the shipyard collection crew would be here. Knock. Sleeper, come in. You swing open the door and walk in. Dragos is sitting at the small metal desk. The shipyards told me they'd be here soon. Then they hand over the shits, and we are set. He writes something with the stylus on his slate, then shuts it off. Of course, we should talk about the bonus. He stands and turns to face you, his face placid. Look, I don't know when the next job is coming, but this should tide you over for now. He opens his hands to reveal a stack of shits. Take them. Dragos presses the shit into your hand. I've done well by you, and you've returned the favor. He straightens up and clears his throat, and you realize he has prepared what he is about to say. These shits are for you to take, and do what you will with them. They are from me, and they are the last I'm going to give you, he pauses. There's no more work for a sleeper in this yard. He folds his arms. I'm sorry, but that's it. You stay in the container as long as you need, but the yard is done with you. He turns away to his terminal. What do you mean? Don't press me, sleeper. This is for your own good. The glassy apertures on Dragos' headset betrays no emotion. You need to stay away, sleeper. He pauses, considering his words. Trouble is going to follow you here. Trust me. Am I in danger? You expect not to be. You escape from Essenard. Dragos suddenly grabs you by the shoulder and drags you out of the office into the yard. He turns you to face a stack of pieces from the Winterlight, dissected, cut down, totally unrecognizable as a ship. You came through that, sleeper. That should have been you, chopped and stacked. His hand trembles on your shoulder. That is what happens here. We cut down broken machines and move them on. Well, I didn't cut you down, but I'm sure as hell moving you on. Moving you on before whoever killed that ship out there comes to kill me. Kill you? Kill both of us. He shakes his head. These ships, they didn't get decommissioned. They didn't break down in dry dock. You think they'd looked like that if they did? Someone ended them. That means someone tried to end you, sleeper, and I'm done waiting for them to turn up. We've heard of fun. Now it's time. He gives you a little shove. Go on. He turns and walks back to the office. That's it, he shouts, and goes inside. The silence hangs in the air, and you leave, with your pockets filled with clinking shits, and strangely hollow feeling in your chest. Whoops. Buy some scrap. Most of what comes in the Starward Belt is corroded trash, but sometimes something valuable can be found among the salvage. Explore the market. Hunted. Okay, so I can't. Yet again, data. Thunder, but jeez, 100 cryo. That's a fuck of a lot. Solemn cipher. Okay. Hand over the shits to the Yatagan enforcer and he notes you through. Free spoke. Lowen there. No one knows you're here. You'll need to change that if you want to access the Lowen's residence and facilities. Block maintenance. Maintained by the residents, the ramshackle block are always in need of repairs. Helping out is a good way to make friends. Perk, efficient extractor. Into the spoke. Spoke is layer after layer of dense urban fabric. The only way to explore it is vertically. Sublime data. That was what I wanted, wasn't it? A glimmer in the dark catches your eye as the orb of Hunter's head appears in the distance. It is looking for you. Hide. You slip down into the ghostly structures of the eye, a feeling like passing through a cloud as their data structures deform and reform around you. Another glimmer catches your eye, close now, that roving orb, wretched in tentacles. It flickers, jumps once, twice, and then it is here. Hunter is here. Entity, submit to inquiry. Hunter reaches for you, in that unpleasantly familiar way. Its waving threads creating a cage. Struggle. You push against the threads as they close in, becoming frenzied as you push them aside. You are caught by whipping tendrils and feel them pulling you away from the anchor of your body. You push through, clearing the threads. Entity, hold for processing. Comes the screaming from behind, but you are already gliding away, back to your anchor, your body. You awake, dizzy, distorted, but safe. That's not fucking good. If I get paid for this shit. 12 cryo plus welder's mate. stabilizer. Minus 100 cryo. As you quickly leave the surgery, eager to be away from Toshiro's stare, you notice something wrapped around the stabilizer's vial, clutched tightly in your hand. You open your hand, and a thin film, marked with holes and sigils, unrolls from around the vial. At one end, it has a hard metal strip, a handle. Inspect the film. You hold the cloudy film up to the light. It is perforated with an ornate pattern of holes. You can make out a word among the markings. Passkey. Is this an entry key for somewhere? The metal handle is worn and pitted, but you can see a set of numbers imprinted into it. 207F, and then crudely scratched into the handle at some later date. Low end. For a moment, you consider going back to the surgery to return the key, and then quickly think better of it. Did Sabine want you to have this, or is Toshiro passing on a message? Time to head to the low end and find out. You find the entrance to the apartment. Its passkey symbol obscured beneath layers of graffiti. Who lives here? The lock clunks open. The metal door swings inward into the dark. As you push the door open, the automatic light flickers on inside the apartment. They reveal yellowing plastic panels, the curved shape of wall-mounted utility units, the detritus of a routine life arranged on every surface. You step inside, clicking the door shut behind. The amber light of the aging fixtures glaze everything with pale orange. The work surfaces hold a variety of objects, indistinct in the dull lighting. A pale blue light drifts from a doorway at the end of the room. Go to the doorway. You cross the cramped utility room with its outwash, dispensers, water closet towards the doorway. Through the doorway is a dark, warm room, lit only by the faint glow of a terminal screen. Approach the terminal. As you approach, there is a crackle from somewhere in the dark. Sleeper. Sabine's voice shakily echoes through the apartment. Welcome to my home. I'm sorry I can't be there. I have had to make alternative arrangement. You hear rattling noises, static. I was able to record his message, but I don't dare to show my face. Something is happening within Yatagan. I no longer trust them. Their voice becomes distant, slipping behind the background noise. I have something to ask of you. I want you to get me out. Yatagan was supposed to hide me, to protect me. After everything happened, I was desperate, and then after that, I was too tired to care. A noise like waves over the recording, but I'm done with them now. I want out. Screw the devil. But I need insurance, something I can hold against them. I have my suspicions, but I can't be sure. I need information, and as you know, you need me. A pause, something clicking in the dark. This isn't a threat. You have to understand my position here. Another pause. I know, sleepers. I have been here before. I can help you, but not with Yatagan's noose around my neck. Get me data, get me information, get me something that I can use against Yatagan. Then I can get out, and you can get what you need. Please. Waves of static cut into Sabine's voice. Bring it here, to my terminal. I'll get to it when I can. You look around the tiny room, and you try to imagine Sabine living here, working at the desk, sleeping in the bunk, blinking in the terminal in the dark. The recording cuts to static, filling the room with its white hiss, then silence. Leave. You turn away and leave, the door clunking shut behind you. Back in the corridor, you notice the scrawled graffiti of a blade on the opposite wall, yet again. You feel yourself being drawn into something you don't quite understand. Scoping the system. they'll deliver three of these. That gave me enough to eat at least. Inject stabilizers. Nope. Let's see what this gives us then. Let's go to the system. As you enter the bay, Fang is nowhere to be seen. The banks of servers and machines blink out at the dark in a staccato rhythms, unseeing eyes of the station's digital ghosts. Shithead, Fang's voice echoes from behind the stack, followed by the hammer of a fist on a metal case. These snaky shitheads. Stay silent. Sleeper, that you or am I in trouble? Fang's grinning head pops out from behind the stack. Just emulated consciousness I have been eager to see. Come back here. You pick your way between the thrumming stacks, trying not to trip on the loose bundles of cables that blanket the dark floor. Fang is sat in front of a set of monitors, mounted to a stack. Tell me, Sleeper, what do you see here? Fang waves at the monitor to his side, glowing with pale lists of information. You lean in closer, looking for the links in the data. The table seems to be filled with personal information, names, genders, dates, ID numbers, and the markers of institutional records. Names. Okay, yes, but what kind of names? Solheim. Bingo. He taps at the terminal. I pulled these from the old data you brought in. All employees of the ICE original owners, and he leans past you and scrolls down the list. This is a snaky shithead. He stabs at the screen with a finger. The name reads Hardin Hurst. Friend of yours? Fang gives you a sideway look. Funny, you should say that, Sleeper. He drags a stool out beside him and motions for you to sit. There just so happens to be a Hardin Hurst in Heavenage. He waits for your reaction. In Heavenage? That's it. He's right here in the station now. Fang leans back in his chair. Just think about it. Decades ago, Hardin worked on this station as a... Fang leans across to look at the monitor. Senior Strategic Operations Executive. Fang raises his eyebrows at you. Our Hardin was keeping the money coming in for Solheim. He defined priority growth initiatives by making sure the extractors they contracted out to were hooked into the system that outsourced all the risk and kept the profit. Good old Hardin shuttled thousands of Palladium Rush workers into an infrastructure which meant that their cut of the work they did went straight into Solheim. How do you know this? I grew up here, Sleeper. This is my history. I am a child of the collapse. Fang turns back to his screen, staring hard at the strings of code flickering by. Before I was born, my parents were Solheim contractors. They ate in Solheim's canteens, worked on Solheim's ships. They breathed Solheim air and slept in Solheim beds. Fang's voice raises as he speaks, his hands fists on the terminal edge. And the work that paid for that existence, the cycles of hard extraction out in the belt. Solheim took their cut. This was a company town, so to speak, and my parents were just another in the long line of freelance contractors, willing to risk their lives for a shot at anything other than poverty, disposable. This guy, stabbing at Hardin once again with his fingers, strategized all that, did the sums, and then somehow, thousands and thousands of cycles later, is still going, still here, crawling in the walls like some shithead snake. He survived the revolution. Surely it can't be him. Frem relaxes a little. Who knows? He turns to you and smiles. So we're going to find out. Hardin is now a big shot in the shipyards, just a few degrees back around the eye from here. Feng brings up a map to the lower eye. Heaven Edge might be born out of Erlin's revolutionary seed, but a flat hierarchy, it's not. Hardin happened float to the top. Feng zooms in on the far yards. Feng grimaces. The thing is, I don't have access to those systems. The shipyard crew is pretty paranoid, and they don't like anyone from systems digging around in their stuff. Plus, we need more than just the name of the Solheim executive. We need proof. Feng holds up a thumbnail-sized drive. That's where the little creation of mine comes in. I call it a ripper worm. He turns the drive between his fingers. It'll rip through any digital storage and spin out a silken thread of filtered data. This one is set on the scent of Hardinhurst. He hands it over. Getting into the compound might be tricky. Feng puts a hand on your shoulder. But you, however, have a particular knack for remote access. Feng grins. If you can extract yourself a Havenage cipher from the Havenage agent, they sometimes carry them among their data caches. You can crack open the compound's network and slot the worm in through any port. You never even need to go near the shipyards. So what do you say? Up for it? Sure. I knew it. I knew you'd be happy to catch this snake. And don't worry, once we nail this guy, I'll start work on that tracker of yours. I haven't forgotten. Feng scratches at his chin. Anything the worm gets, it'll send it back here. There's something wrong here, and I aim to get to the rotten core of it. You leave Feng, digging through data, among the wires and machines of the old station. As you walk out, you try to imagine the Eye as it once was. A vast machine, running smooth and strong, directed by people like Hardin. A vast Solheim-built machine into which thousands poured from the surrogate systems, looking for a new life. The hope of a better future, engineered to line someone else's pocket. It's an idea you are intimately familiar with. You think of Hardin, still alive, still part of this place, and wonder if the past is ever truly past. Each shift, a crowd of would-be workers gather outside the shipyards, each of them clinging to a 4-digit number printed on receipt papers. These are their assignment numbers, and you are either called for a shift or you aren't. As you arrive, the crowd is relentless, and chatter rumbles through the lines. For those who, like you, have graduated to the work teams, shifts are guaranteed. Having just walked out of a meeting with the supervisor where you were praised for your efforts, you feel the glow of a job well done. Yet you can't help but feel empathy for those huddled as you pass, waiting for their number to come up. You keep your head down as you leave the shipyard, feeling a little guilty as you do. Hey sleeper, wait up. Lem's voice trembles as he shouts above the rumble of the crowd, and you turn to see him pushing through, Mina crying in his arms. Lem. Good to see you, friend. He is breathing hard after shouldering through the waiting workers. You made the work team, good for you. He tries to catch his breath, stroking Mina's hair as he does. Shh, baby, give me a second here. He smiles weakly at you as he comforts her, and her cries start to fade. Out of the crowd, he sets Mina down by his side, shiny streaks down both of her cheeks. As he does, you see he is clutching an assignment number on a crumpled piece of paper. Waiting on a shift? You know how it is. He puts his hand on her shoulder and she clings to his side. Esther, who usually takes her, is sick. He stretches. I don't know. A noise sounds from the entrance, a klaxon, followed by a list of numbers growing brightly on a display screen. The crowd responds instantly, pushing and pulling as people try to wade to the entry checkpoint. Lem stops and turns back towards the crowd, then glances down at the crumpled paper. That's my number. Shit. Mina. He starts patting the pockets of his gear and glancing around. Go, I'll watch her. He blinks a little, staring. Thank you, I'll... He crouches to Mina. You're gonna stay with our friend here, okay? They're going to keep you safe. He stands back up. Here, take her bag. He shoves it into your hand. She's got food, she's got... Shit, I have to go. He backs away into the crowd. Mina, I'll be back real soon, okay? Be good. Then Lem disappears into the roiling crowd, who are now trying to get into the shipyard before it locks down. Mina stands staring, suddenly small, without Lem at her side. She fixes you with dark-eyed stare you can't quite read. Hey, Mina. She holds his hair, unmoving. The two parallel tear tracks still glint on her cheeks. You okay, Mina? She sniffs and looks down. Look in the bag. You unlatch the top of the bag and see a few metal containers, fashioned from scrap components. A battered slate sits on top, blinking, a low battery warning. And tucked beside it is a ragged rabbit, hand-sewn. Take the rabbit. You pull the rabbit out of the bag, its long limbs waggling as you do. Mina goes to jump and grab it, but holds herself back. She stands and hugs herself, eyes on the rabbit. Give her the rabbit. You hold the rabbit out and Mina snatches it from your hands. She hugs it tightly, without looking away from you. Bun Bun, she says, staring you down ferociously, despite your size. Hi, Bun Bun. You move a little closer as you speak, closing the gap. He doesn't speak, she says. She looks at you suspiciously, but her face softens a little. She waggles Bun Bun in front of you, and then walks him up your arm and onto your shoulder where he sits. She pokes your arm a couple of times. Are you really a robot? Sort of. Yeah, she thinks. Me too. Mina has more questions, lots of questions. Questions about how you breathe or if you rust. But before long, you are talking about rabbits and what Esther, the lady who usually takes her, smells like, and whether or not fairies live in the ice heating pipes. You pass the time like this, sitting side by side on the floor of the walkway as others pass by, sometimes talking, sometimes drawing on the slate, sometimes playing with Bun Bun the rabbit. And this is how Lem finds you, just as both of you are starting to yawn. He is dirty, tired, but Mina leaps up his leg and into his arms as he stumbles backwards. You two gotta get on okay? Yes, trying to keep Mina from climbing on the shower. We managed. Mina glances carefully at you, hiding a smile that is slowly growing. Well, looks like Meanie can be nice. He pokes her in the ribs, and she squeals in delight. Thank you, friend, I mean it. He gives you a warm, wide smile. I owe you. Look, he glances round. It seems like Esther, the lady who usually watches her, is going to be out for a spell. If you ever have some time, I'd really appreciate you coming down to our place in the low end. He grins sheepishly, if you have time. But now I have to take this one to eat. He plays at biting Mina, and she giggles in response. See you, sleeper. He waves and they stumble off down the corridor, drawing gazes from passing spacers as Mina laughter echoes down the corridor in bright squeals. Okay, let's see what happens when we go to sleep here. Hold it there, sleeper, comes a voice from behind you. Don't you run. Stay still. Good, good. And hand pats your coat down. You know your master's voice. Ethan spins you around. He's wearing a wide smirk and a slick jacket, and you immediately know he is terrible news. You got all the way out here and then stayed put. He laughs, a cruel laugh. That a sleeper thing. You're my first? You barely hear him. You notice the handgun he has leveled at your chest, and it's hard to take your eyes off it. He reaches down with his other hand and slips some kind of ring out from a belt loop without taking his eyes off you. Making it to the eye, though, that's pretty good. This place isn't so bad. Bars, markets, people. I pull most of my contracts out of asteroid caves or off of god-forsaken moons. He splits the ring into two perfect circles. It's hard to hit civilization when there's so much space to pass through. Who are you? Just a freelancer on a contract. He reaches over to slide the ring around your wrists. Go easy. Make a break for it. You see a chance the moment his eyes leave you to watch the rings. You spin, knocking him away and sprinting down the corridor. Then the shot rings out, echoing off the metal, so loud it hurts your ears. A bullet hole smokes on the wall beside your head. You freeze and Ethan closes the gap. This is a very boring routine, trust me. I've seen it all before. He slips the rings over your trembling wrists. Ethan nudges you to start walking, to the ship and home. He whistles, going easy. You stumble down the corridor, your hands behind you, your mind racing. We can work this out. Can we? I don't see much in the way of assets in your possession. Ethan yawns and continues to nudge you down the corridor. Shame to come all the way out here, just to head back to Aspenarp right away. That tracker of yours makes this too quick. Was hoping you'd put up a little more of a chase, you know? A running battle through the bright market, maybe, or a holdout in the low end. There's a few establishments I would have enjoyed checking out while I asked around. You walk on in silence for a little longer, desperately trying to think of a way to escape. That S&ARP track will be the death of you. Hey, I have an idea. Ethan interrupts your thought. How about on the way back to ship, we stop for a drink? I'm buying. He laughs at his own joke. I have a better idea. This better not be one of those where you do a dramatic pause and try to jump me, because I'm pretty tired of that. Although, muses Ethan, I've got myself thinking, what's the rush here? Here we are in one of the most lawless joints in the surrogate systems, and we're headed for the exit. He pauses, and you trudge on in silence. Okay, here's the idea, starts Ethan. You and me, we make a little agreement. Here are the terms. He turns you to face him. You run or leave or try to abandon the eye. I shoot you. You plot or scheme. You try to kill me. I shoot you. But he smiles. You come, meet me at the establishment of my choice every few cycles, and you pay my tab. I don't shoot you. He pauses. You don't pay my tab? He rattles his handgun. You get the idea. I get it. Okay then. That sounds to me like a deal. He stretches. You know, I really thought I was going to have to kill you, but this is so much better. He clicks something at his belt, and the rings release from your wrists. I'm going to see if I can find my old stool at the compressor club. Come see me there. He aims the handgun at you, squinting down the side. Let me just remind you, that body of yours is one big tracker, so don't even think about leaving the eye. I'll know. Ethan turns and strides off down the corridor, slipping his handgun away. The mix of relief and terror you feel is overwhelming. What are you going to do? Oh, it moves around. Okay. Havenage Dicta. It's fun that it's like ones and twos. Doing like hacking things. The gate flips. You are in. Slot Ripper Worm. An open port sits waiting for you to slot in a Ripper. What will it find in there? The worm slots in and begins tunneling down the thread. Godspeed, little one. Now, okay, 4 cycles, and then I have to go and meet this guy. Ship mind fragment. Okay, it takes a little while for it to do its thing. You have been promoted to the assembly team, working on the hull itself, welding the fabricated blocks of the ship into place. A vast job. The vast colony ship is coming together. Block by block, each cycle, you see another piece slotting in place. Energy. Tracking Havenedge. You've heard that the Yatagan Enforcer, based here, has been paying low-end residents for information on Havenedge movements. Derelict unit. Okay, I can repair this and use it as a home maybe. Minji Express. Curious data fence. You cross between 2 walls of units, one of the cavernous streets at the center of the lower. The pressurized bridge is full of clack of tavla, the shouts of children, the whir of the air filters. Sleeper, you turn to see a man sitting at a tavla table alone, somehow untouched by the hustle and bustle of the people around. He gestures to the stool on the opposite side of the table. Sit.
Be right back.
You sit at the middle stool and you start setting out the board with counters, or at least the filter caps low unders typically use in their place. Castor, he says by the way of introduction, looking over his glasses. Night or day, he asks, gesturing at the caps, crudely sprayed white and black. Night. He nods. The black counters are already on your side. Let's begin. You both take a plastic die each, pitted and worn, and roll to determine who starts. Castor rolls a 6, you a 4. I lead, he smiles, and begins to move his first cap precisely along the board. Play passes back and forth between you, the dice changing hands as the caps spread along the board. As it does, Castor speaks, eyes not leaving the caps. It is unusual to see a sleeper in the eye, on the eye. That's why I wanted to play you. You take your turn, rolling a 5 and a 6. Play aggressively. After all, a sleeper's mind must be somehow different to a human one. Being emulated, I mean. As Castor talks, you target his counters, halting his progress, but exposing your caps as you do. I don't mean to offend you. Castor meets your eye. I merely see that you are by definition different. What has been subtracted in the emulation? What has been added? He stacks a wall of counters, a boundary you must break. He hands you the die. Do you ever think about this, sleeper? About what you were before and what you are now? Always. You roll double 1 and solidify your wall. Castor whistles. The holding game. Commendable. It can't be brave. It can be brave to build from what from what came before. He rolls the die and leaps your wall in a single move. But we cannot idle too long, sleeper. The slower we move, the sooner we are caught. The past you is not just an idea, a concept for you. It is a living, breathing person. He looks up over his glasses, his eyes bright and wide. You split from them, like a shadow splitting from its caster. They may be sleeping now, yes, but one day they will awake and carry on with their lives unaware of your fate, no matter what yours is. He hands you the dice, smiling. You are a branch severed from the main trunk, an offshoot who refuses to die, so to speak. You roll again, under pressure, now trying to slip your caps out from under Castor's before he solidifies control of the game. So what I am curious about is how you see yourself in all of this. Castor asks, what does this tangle of truth makes you? Driven. Castor laughs. That much is obvious, sleeper. I see it in your eyes. You are eager to make this all count for something. Castor looks away. Through the glass to the to the crowded units on all sides. But driven towards what? He starts removing caps. His home board now full. Is there an end here? Or just endurance? You try a few more rolls, attempting to get back in the game, but Castor clears his home board with a sense of the inevitable. He has known he was winning for a while. I feel I may have pushed too far. He slides another cap from the board. I apologize. My curiosity has a habit of getting the better of me. You roll to return a cap to the board, but all the spaces are blocked. Castor claps his hands apologetically. You played well. Really, your weakness is not your game. He smiles warmly. We have much to learn from each other. He slides his glasses back up his nose and sits back. I fear we could share knowledge, ideas, perhaps even data. His eyes glint with his last word. That to our mutual benefit. He slides his final cap from the board. It is over. He has won. I'll see. Please, don't want to make you uncomfortable. He holds up his palms. My intention is only to help you endure here, and, if I'm able, feed my curiosities. The game over. You notices the bustle of the walkway once more, the call of the children, the deliveries, the arguments, and the reconciliations. They wash over you as you stand and leave, Castor nodding goodbye as you do. Crossing the walkway, you replay the moves of the game in your mind, looking for an opening you are sure was there. Okay. It's a lot of data. Unless Lem gets time in the shipyard, he won't qualify for the Sidereal Crew Lottery. Watching Mina gives him that chance. Okay. Okay. Hopefully it saves quite often, but we'll see. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next episode.